Have you ever wondered how much it costs to operate a small used car lot? Well, I can tell you that information and I'm happy to do so. I've had plenty of requests to see a P&L from my car lot, which I'll be honest, that's kind of personal. That's not something I will share. But what I will share is some of the expenses that go into fixing these cars up and selling them. And then I will share what I have for operating expenses, such as my rent and insurance and things like that. So if you want to see how many cars you got to sell to make any money in this business, I'll show you what I have to do. Stay tuned. All right, so for the purpose of this video, we're going to divide it into two sections. We have the gross sales, which is how much the car sold for, and we collect TT&L and all that. And then when we break those expenses down, we will get to a gross profit, which is profit per vehicle that I sell. And the best way to do this when you're starting a new lot or as you're revising your financials when you're trying to project out is you're going to take the number of cars that you sold and divide it by what you made to get your average gross profit. I know what mine is already. It's about $1,500, but I've been doing this for a while. So then at the end, you would take whatever your expenses are going to be and divide that by 1,500, and that will tell you how many cars you have to sell every month to stay afloat. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this gross profit thing, and that is dealing strictly on a per car basis to figure out what that cost per car is, and then obviously you would be able to do that as an average over all of them. Let me show you what I mean. So if you've watched my channel, you know that on my flip videos, I've been sharing the cash position sheet from my Fraser software, which shows you how much money I made per car and what the expenses of that were. And I wanted to just run through what some of those things are that you may not have thought about. So obviously out of the purchase price of the car, the gross profit, the gross sale, we have what we paid for the car. Now, I buy a lot of cars that need work because I also own a shop. So for me, oftentimes, the price of the car is actually cheaper than the repairs. But that's something you would think about when you're buying the car if you have the ability to fix it or what your situation is. Some people like the cars that they have to work on a lot because there is savings. Other people want a car that they can flip pretty quick and they don't worry so much about that. But anyway, for your gross sales, you're going to have your purchase price of your car, repairs, your title and registration fees. If you're in Texas, and I bet you most other states have something like this, which is vehicle inventory tax. We pay that to our county tax assessor on every sale that we make on a monthly basis. Then if you had to have the vehicle towed, that's a cost of goods sold. And gas that you put in the vehicles would be a cost of goods sold. So if you add all of that up, that's what you're in that vehicle for. All right. And then if you subtract what you paid for the vehicle, that is your gross profit. And that is just as it relates to costs associated with that particular vehicle. That's all we're dealing with. Repairs, titling, towing, taxes, and gas for that vehicle. And then you'll move on and look at your other expenses that are related to your dealership. So that's gross sales. Gross profit is how much you made on that one transaction. And if you had 5 or 10 transactions that month, then your gross sales would be the money that you collected for all 10 cars. And your gross profit would be what was left over, what you made on those 10 cars. And that's an exciting number. But remember, out of the gross profit, we have to pay all of our overhead. So let me share with you what some of my overhead is. And we'll kind of run through it line by line on my P&L, and we'll go from there. So we have our gross profit number, and then we're going to subtract out our operating expenses, which will give us our net profit or net operating expense, however you'd like to phrase it. Now, I do want to remind folks when I've put my numbers up on the screen, But I do want to remind people that I also have the transmission shop in the same building, so I split some of those costs, and I'll try to indicate that as we go along. But the first thing up out of this every month that I have to pay is rent. And I'm very fortunate. We have a great landlord. He has not adjusted our rent. God, I hope he's not watching this video where he goes, "Oh, you think he's got a good deal? Let's raise the rent." Well, anyway, I pay $2,500 a month rent. So on my P&L statement, half goes from my transmission shop, half comes from my car lot. So my car lot is responsible for $1,250 of rent. The next one up is the big expense as it relates to not me, is the garage policy. Now, my garage policy is about $600 a month. There's lots of things that go into a garage policy. I'll give you just a brief explanation now. But a garage policy basically acts like liability insurance for an accident here at your shop. Somebody trips over something and cracks their head open, slips on ice out front in the wintertime. It covers you there. It also acts as auto insurance for all the vehicles on your lot. So if the hailstorm comes and hits your lot, you're covered. If you're out driving your car somewhere and you get in an accident, you're covered. Now, there are lots of variables for garage insurance, so you're definitely going to want to talk to a broker. Some of the things that will affect your cost is one, how many cars do you have on the lot that you need to insure, of course? How many, what's the value per car that you want to insure? So, my cars are pretty cheap. They're usually $5,000 or less retail. But if I was selling $25,000 cars, I would have a higher insurance price. Then, of course, there's deductible, and then there's some credit score going into that. And, of course, what company is selling it to you. So always get a broker when you're looking at your garage policy. Probably the same guy that wrote your dealer bond. My guy handles all of my stuff, and he finds me the best deal for me that he can find. So your garage policy could be more, could be less. A lot of them require 25% down and then monthly payments. There's some that don't require that down payment. So it just depends. But anyway, I pay about $600 a month. And then I pay $140 some for the high-speed internet at the shop. So the car lot is responsible for $70 of that. The electric here at the shop most of the time is right at or around $400 a month. So the car lot pays $200 of that. We pay $180 a month to have the dumpster picked up every week. So the car lot would pay $90 of that. Then we have telephone expense. Telephone expense for me is two things. One, because my wife and I use our cell phones for business, the cell phone bill is paid through the company. And the second one is that we have a Vonage, voice over the internet phone line. So that's like $55 a month or something. You add those together, you're at about $180. And why I like Vonage, and if you don't want Vonage, there's other voice over the internet companies that do the same thing. But what's nice about Vonage is it runs on high-speed internet. It's like $50 to $60 a month, depending on how you want to do it. You get the virtual secretary, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, blah, blah, blah. I have a office phone on my desk. But more importantly, or as important to me, is they have an app for your phone. So you can receive calls while you're not there, and it comes up on the Vonage app. Customer doesn't know that you're not in your office. It gives you a cell phone number. So when I put an ad out, the customers can call the cell phone. Well, it's not my phone number that my friends have. It's strictly for business. What's nice about this is it's a separate app, so I can tell when the phone rings what type of number they're calling from, meaning is it a business call or is it my personal phone? And I can shut that phone off. I can silence it. I can make calls from it so they get the phone number for the shop, not my personal phone. And I can receive and send texts and pictures and things like that. So for me, that's well worth it, because when I had a real job years ago, I had to carry 2 cell phones, and I felt like a freaking drug dealer. So Vonage to me is the way to go. That and my wife and I cell phone and an iPad that runs on cell service as well. All that comes to about $1.80. I'm sorry, about $1.80. $1.80. I'm losing it. Anyway, next up is computer expense. A computer expense, the only thing I have on that line is my Fraser software. That's my dealer management program. It has all the VIN decoders in it. It has all the paperwork for selling cars. I would not want to try to buy and sell cars without some sort of dealer management software. I like Fraser. I'm not thrilled with the $210 price. When I started, it was like $50, and somehow it worked its way to like $100. Then I switched to Mac, and they don't have a Mac offering, so I had to go to their web-based one. So I'm not thrilled. I'm now paying $210, but everything goes up in price. It is what it is. This one is web-based, so no, you can't sell a car if there's no internet. That's a problem. But you can hotspot your phone or something if need be to get a sale at that point. But you can have it. I think you can have up to 7 or 8 people on their computers using the program. So if you're a larger dealership where you got 2 or 3 salespeople, they can all have it running at the same price. So good deal there. Postage is about $50. That's a combination of stamps to mail out various letters. That's mailing out some license plates to people that are not local, or that it's a good hour ride to get to me or something. I don't make them have to come back. I'll mail them their plates. Bank fees, about $25. Would you believe it that some banks actually charge you a fee to deposit cash in their bank, even if you use an ATM? So between a cashier's check for the rent and bank fees, I pay about $25. And then the next one, my favorite, what's most important to me, is payroll expense. Now, I am the only person on the payroll here at my car lot. And I try to take home about $1,000 a week. Taxes and all that added up onto it is about $5,000 a month. So I'm the only payroll expense. The next one is maybe my next favorite, and that is meals and entertainment. So I am not a tax guy. I'm not giving tax advice. But I know that if you have a business meeting with someone to discuss your business growth, things your business could do better, try to sell somebody something, any of those business activities are tax deductible. So why not go someplace nice? So I spend about $300 a month in meals and entertainment, having those meetings and so forth. If you add this whole column up, it comes out to $79.75. So I have to make basically $8,000 a month of gross profit in order to pay my bills. Now, obviously, some months are better than others. Some months you want to take some of that money and reinvest it into additional inventory. So there's some variation there. The thing to remember with inventory is if you sell one, buy one. You're never going to grow it if you have to take all that money from that sale and spend it on bills, or go buy yourself a Corvette because you're having a midlife crisis or whatever it is. So if you sell one, buy one. If you sold 10 that month, you better have bought 10 that month. And ideally, you'll have some up for sale. You'll have some in the back that are going to get ready to work on, so that as soon as those other ones sell, you can fill that hole. And then ideally, you're still going and buying, okay, I sold 2 or 3 this week. I need to go buy 2 or 3, so that as the front line disappears, the ones that are to be worked on have been and are put on the front line, and the ones that you just got from the auction are in the queue to be worked on. If there was something that I wish I could do a little bit better, and I'm just not quite there yet, is my turnaround time in my head does not match what it should be. The reason for that is pretty straightforward. I have one mechanic, and we run a shop, and the shop does not make killer money. So it keeps my one mechanic busy, but some of these jobs, once he starts, he really needs to keep going on. So even though I have 2 or 3 cars out on the lot waiting for him, we have to work those cars in around our full price paying customers. My car lot does pay my shop for the work that it does, but it pays it at a deeply discounted rate, and I never settle that invoice until that particular car sells. So I have invoices in my computer right now for my car lot that the cars have not sold yet, and so I haven't paid them. As soon as that car sells, then I'll clear that ticket and the shop will get to collect. But that's sort of what I'm trying to make work here for me. Anyway, my golden number, $8,000 a month. Now let me kind of sort out what I got to sell and how I got to make that work. All right, so if you like the kind of content that I'm creating, I would love it if you could just drop me a comment below. Maybe tell me how you found me. Tell me what of the videos that I do you like the best, meaning the behind the scenes of the car lot, or did you find me because of my how to do different DMV forms, or did I just pop up on your page, or if you had a friend tell me down below what it is that you like about my videos, what you hate about my videos, that I'm fat and bald and it irritates you, or I'm stupid, or I don't care what you tell me. Just tell me something. It really helps with the algorithm, and it really helps to grow the channel. I've had a few videos that have just kind of blown up on me, which is awesome, and I'm trying to continue that trend. But back to my video about my P&L. So you saw that I need about $8,000 a month to break even. I told you at the beginning of the video that I make about $1,500 a car on average. So quick math will tell you $1,500. Divide that into the 8,500. It'll tell you I need to sell 6 cars a month to break even. Now, that's great. That's great. That's not enough. If I want to continue to grow my business, grow my inventory, weather a poor month or two, we need to keep going. So my goal is 8 a month. Some of them don't even ever hit my website. I'm very fortunate. This YouTube channel has kind of turned into also a marketing deal for me by fate. I've had several people in the last couple of weeks go online, asking title questions, seeing my videos on titles, and then saying, F it, that's too hard. Do you want to just buy this car from me? And I've bought cars from them that way. But anyway, this is a P&L video. So that is the deal. Those are my expenses. You probably are going to need to double a lot of those if you looked at those and remember that I am splitting those with my transmission shop. But that's how you would set up your numbers. You would actually start with your operating expenses first if you're trying to figure out what you have to do to survive. If you're going to be a new dealer, start with those operating expenses. That is a good list of expenses to take into consideration, and then figure out what you think you can make for a gross profit per vehicle and divide that, and it will tell you about how many vehicles you need to sell every month to be successful. Now, I do want to add in 2 other lines of income that I have on my Car Lots P&L statement. One, we occasionally get cars in that are junk, but we might rob some key components off of, electronic control modules or switches or things like that that are small and shippable that we put on eBay. So we do have an other income line, which is our online part sales. And then this YouTube channel as well is an income revenue stream that is on our P&L. So we have YouTube income. And I try not to count the online part sales or the YouTube revenue as car lot money, because it's not guaranteed. One month you do okay with YouTube, another month you do terrible. This last month was actually my best month. I had a couple of videos blow up on me, which was pretty exciting. So I'm getting like $700 next month from YouTube, which is the best I've ever done. And I'm excited about that. So guys, I appreciate you watching. There's plenty of other videos to take a look at. If you have videos that you'd like me to make, leave me a comment down below. I get enough of them, I'll try to get them done. I appreciate every one of you watching, and y'all have a great day.